Have you ever stopped to think, why are some batteries so damn expensive when there are so many brands of cheaper batteries out there that promise higher capacities? Also, how come even cheap V-mount batteries are still quite pricey? Well, today I'll destroy some of our own batteries to find out. More at 11. Let's start by attempting to answer why batteries cost what they do. To this, we have to start with a basic look at how anything is priced on the market. When you go out shopping, or stay in I suppose, no matter what product you end up buying, its price is no more than the sum of the cost of the materials, manufacturing, research and development, distribution, marketing, and some profit margin. Now, because these are not wildly cutting-edge products whose manufacturers had to do a lot of research and development, and most of these are made in China and sold in similar stores, let's look at what could be the main difference: materials. Cool, but how the heck do you determine the materials that make up a battery? Well, here's where things get interesting. These are most of my MPF batteries. Removing these covers is not that difficult. In fact, I had a few of them fall on their own. Some have a very tiny clip on them, but for the most part, these will have to be glued back on. They're basically broken. I don't suggest you do this to your own batteries, especially if you plan to keep on using them. Luckily for you, I have an obsessive personality. So here's a wide range representing some of the brands of our MPF batteries. And with the cover removed, you might notice a couple things. First of all, no, these are not rechargeable AAAs. It also doesn't mean that these are fake. Not necessarily anyways. Some of these are, kinda. Each one of these units is a cell.
Where's the mitochondria?
All lithium-ion cells have one thing in common, that is a nominal voltage of 3.7. Battery packs combine multiple cells in series or parallel to either add voltage or capacity respectively. Cells come in different shapes and sizes. These in particular are called 18650s, for having a diameter of 18 millimeters and a height of 65, while being round. Get it? 1865 round. This configuration is probably the most popular out there. Tesla uses thousands of these to make up all their battery packs, including the ones for their flagship Model S. Although more recently they've moved on to 21700s. My point being that the use of 18650s doesn't make a battery pack cheap or fake. However, as you may or may not have guessed, not all of them have the same capacity. Remember, every lithium-ion has 3.7 volts, but the capacities and the discharge rate are all over the place. And for the most part, it's what drives pricing. This is a Panasonic NCR 18650 high drain 34 mAh battery. And this is an NCR 18650 BD 32 mAh battery. Go ahead and Google images of both of these and then guess which one's fake. If you guess this one because it has no label, you'd actually be wrong. I bought these on eBay from different sellers, and this third one from a third seller still. The gray ones are actually used, as you can tell by the remains on the top of the cell from ones being soldered. Presumably that's why the label's missing. Meanwhile, these are new, but they're just fake. Unfortunately, there's a big demand for these types of batteries. Like we've mentioned, they're not only used in larger quantities to power everything from cars to one-wheels and, well, cameras. But they're also used as single units to power things like flashlights, gimbals, and even vapes. The latter most likely being the big driving force in the fake market. The result is a large influx of these trash batteries, courtesy of China. Well, mostly China. So let's take a closer look at our MPF batteries then. We see that some of these have the same brand and even the same capacities, even if the MPF battery pack brand is different. The rebranding industry is huge. None of these cells, however, have a recognizable battery brand, cell brand rather. You know, like Panasonic. Not that that's a bad thing, as we showed earlier, labels are almost completely irrelevant, but it does make it significantly harder to identify and price these. So we'll come back to these. But let's momentarily switch our attention to V-mounts. These are all the brands I own: Comer, Soonwell, Rolux, and even Juicebox. I didn't really want to own this one. I actually returned the one from that video, but this came with the Ursa. I mean, it's probably a good thing. I guess it makes things juicier. And yes, you guessed it. This one's actually sealed and I can't open it. I did at some point, as you can see by the marks here, but it is now glued and I'm not going to reopen it. I do have a picture of it here. To my surprise, all of these battery packs have name brand battery cells inside of them. And with some simple math, we can actually confirm what I discovered last time, that their average size capacities actually check out. So let's try to determine the price for these. First up, the Comer. From the old picture that I have and Googling the model number, I see that these are, I've never tried to pronounce this name, Sanyo? 2000 milliamp hour batteries. There's 27 of them inside, and the rating checks out at 195 watt hours. Well, I can't find these for sale anymore. No problem, we'll just use closely spec ones, which come out to around $80 to $90. Compared to $160 at the time of purchase, and even now to $180, these are not a bad value. The juice box uses 16 2600 milliamp hour batteries from LG, yes. I couldn't really find these on the market either, but similarly priced and performance ones come out to $60. Price of the juice box, $180. And the battery checks out at 150 watt hours. Meanwhile, the Rolux and the Soonwell use different capacities based on their rating. The rating checks out, and both types of batteries actually come out to about $100 total. And the price of these is $300 and $360 respectively. On top of the batteries, we also have to account for these PCB boards that balance the load across the batteries and ensure that you're not overcharging them, as well as give you some nice lights for capacity. There's also a temperature switch to prevent them from catching on fire. Well, I couldn't find any of those PCBs. They're called VMS, by the way. Simpler ones cost about $10. As for the case, that's going to be a lot harder to price, but given that this NPF to B-mount adapter costs about $20, we can assume it's roughly the same. So total cost of materials? Roughly about $140. As you can see, the Comer then presents the best value, but I would like to point out that their casing is the cheapest. Well, everyone is concerned with not placing their batteries so close to the edges to help with drops and such, I suspect. The juice box having the least amount of batteries and the most padding inside, so there are some trade-offs to what Comer is doing. So let's go back to the NPFs. Well, if we use the same method to price them, you'll see that these are for sure not name brand batteries. And in fact, after disassembling one, I found that they're not even well balanced. I'll conduct more tests on these later, but honestly, that's quite a bummer.
Damn, what a shame.
In the grand scheme of things though, professionals won't mind paying the extra cost for a guarantee in performance and quality. So what do you get for the premium option? Mostly convenience and peace of mind. While the super premium options might be developing their own cells, probably not. The truth is, most of the cost probably goes to quality control, and generally, the more expensive, the safer the battery is.
Go and drop it, man, they're fragile.
Remember, a puncture in these guys is no joke. They literally catch on fire. But given that these are using brand name batteries, I don't know if I can explain the huge disparity. I guess some brands are just expensive to be expensive. I guess that's just the industry, right? It's cheaper than having things fall apart in a giant set where each hour incurs thousands and thousands of dollars in all the other costs. For us indie people though, we can afford more of a risk, and finding a nice balance between cheap and reliable is important. I don't know if I can recommend any of the NPF batteries at this time, and as for the B-mounts, I actually feel more comfortable standing behind my recommendation from last time. All of these present a pretty good value. So why did I just buy 100 of these single cell units? Well, you'll just have to subscribe to find out, won't you? This was a pretty extensive topic, but I hope you guys made it this far. And if you did, if you did, give us a like and subscribe. And we'll guys see you next. and you guys next time we'll see you.
You did it. Subscribe.